star, an actor-director that lived in our neck of the woods on Long Island, but named Joe Marzano. Now, Marzano did some exploitation films, in particular a version of Venus in Furs in 1960. The star in this film, and he and I had a major blowout prior to the making of what was supposed to be Bigfoot on Campus. And he was going to be the star, he was going to be the mad doctor.
Take notice, guys. There's going to be more than one blowout during this story.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, there's an army of them. So anyway, Marzano was booted from the project, and ultimately we had to come up with something quick. We were going to make this guerrilla film, and I should say we had this moth-eaten ape suit that was given to us by this guy Howie Carson, who used, for those of you who live on Long Island in Hicksville, he used to run the magic shop. I'm going back a while. So, but anyway, he had the ape suit. He gave it to us. It looked like shit, and we're figuring out, okay, well, what should we do? So ultimately, we came up with this idea. It's kind of a variant on Poe's Murders in the Rue Morgue, and in a particular case, the adaptation known as Phantom of the Rue Morgue. That impressed me. It was with Carl Malden. They didn't use Vincent Price because Vincent Price was under contract to Columbia, and he was doing The Mad Magician. It was a 3D movie, so this other 3D movie, Phantom of the Rue Morgue, was done with Carl Malden, brought in Vincent Price's role. So anyway, the movie blew my mind when I saw it as a kid. Channel 9, Saturday night, blew my mind. I said, oh, and it always haunted my head. So I kind of, I guess, attempted to do I'm not going to call it a remake, but we lifted some of the concept of, there being some kind of thing given to the people who are going to be victimized. In the Carl Malden film, it was a bracelet with little bells, and it drove the ape crazy, and the ape would go and kill the woman, right? So these were women who jilted him, right? So that's basically how we got the idea for what became The Bloody Ape. And I ended up co-writing it with George Reese, who played both the detective and the ape. So credit to him for doing both roles. All right.
I mean, fantastic actor.
Run, Sweetback!
Yeah, unbelievable. Man, since what I'm saying, you're gonna I don't even have to say anything tonight, Keith. You're just gonna keep going, and that's the best part about it. But I don't even know if I asked a question yet. But what were you doing before The Bloody Ape? What led up to The Bloody Ape is what I want to know. You just went right into you're saying, oh, I did. You jumped right into this Bigfoot movie, but there's got to be something that makes you.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah, let's get into that.
You're just dying for this.
I've been.
You might as well just bring me to that point, all right? Are you talking about what really started the fight between me and Marzano?
Yes.
No. Well, you can say that if that's how you want to interpret this. Go ahead.
All right. Here's what happened. Now, when we got out of college, unless you had major ties within the working industry, you were really up against a lot of closed doors. So we were all over the place. We were knocking on doors in the city. We were going to studios. We're knocking and people are just like, get lost. They had no interest in us. Anyway, we made a decision, and when I say I'm talking about the guy who was the cameraman and played the guy in the video store, the one looking for a videotape. Me and George Reese and this guy, no, it wasn't even Reese at that point. Reese came later. But me and this guy decided, okay, if worse comes to worse, we'll break into the porno film industry. So we did just that. We actually ended up shooting an adult film. Now, Joe Marzano was supposed to shoot it because he had the video camera. I wasn't going to waste film on that garbage. You don't waste. At that point, it was always being shot on video. So I wasn't going to waste film on it. So I had said to Marzano, okay, you shoot it. And what he did is he insisted on money up front. And I told him, no, when we get paid, you'll get money. And he didn't want to wait on the money. Now, by the way, I want to just say he was correct. I mean, truthfully, if this was to happen now and I was put in this position, I would say the same thing. Don't pay me up front. But at that time, I was so furious that he wanted money up front. So that's when I asked him to take a walk. And he said to me, and Marzano was very stout. And he said to me, you're losing an enormous talent. And I said to him, all I was going to gain was an enormous stomach. Not nice. That wasn't nice, but I was so mad. I was so furiously mad, and that's what put an end to that. And that's when we went into ultimately making, after we finished the porn film, and basically that kind of, it didn't end as a disaster, but it didn't do what we were hoping it was going to do.
See, that was not what I was expecting.
Well, now you learned something.
I was just kind of just wondering, and you're telling me you were seeing porns on video that did, and they did okay.
Well, yes, later on, especially when I was selling them on my website. Yes.
Ah.
I had a way. Oh, do you really want to get into this?
Yes.
I mean, of course, we want to
Yes.
know that you kept the Bloody Ape alive through selling porn through your website. Yeah.
Did anyone buy the film from me? Does anyone remember a movie called Lulu and Friends, also known as The Valley Stream Slut? Okay.
Yes.
By the way, Lulu was the pet name of my ex-girlfriend. So I guess this is how you work things out. So that was the pet name, and
Wow.
she lived in Valley Stream.
Wow.
So I made that film, and what I used to do back in the let me see, when I was selling this on my website in the 2000s, we used to say if you buy the film, you're going to get a kiss mark and an inscription from the actress, Miss Lulu, and. Well, truth be told, we don't know whatever happened to Miss Lulu. We have no clue where she ended up. So, either my wife on her way to work would give the box a kiss, or if she wasn't home, I'd put the lipstick on and give the box a kiss.
Wow.
And I'd inscribe it, and that's how people got the Lulu and Friends or the Valley Stream Slut. They were getting an inscription.
Wow.
I think I used to write from my lips to your ass or something like that. And that was how I really moved that and got that going. Thank God. But we ended up just deciding to do the horror film is because there was a big interest in the low budget independent stuff. I had said to the guy who was the cameraman, and I had said to Reese, I said, I'm not shooting any of this on video. Video looks like shit. I said, shoot it on Super 8. And that's what we did. We had one scene in 16 millimeter that we cut in. That's a shower scene. The rest was shot on Super 8 millimeter sound film. And then sometimes we had silent rolls of film. So we just would shoot those, and that's where you hear the music rolling over, okay? With no real. But I did not want, I had options of fixing the sound. We could have put it through SoundGate. We could have erased the sound on the film completely and dubbed it over. Then it would look like a foreign film. I didn't want that. I wanted the ambient sound. I wanted all the sounds that you hear in the area. I just wanted it to be almost like a documentary. So that's why we left it in.
Yeah.
And I was cheap. Because that stuff costs money. Started to do sound gates and erasing. You know this. I'm not telling you anything. Yeah, well, oh yeah.
Well, hey, while we're at it, Joe, did you have to do any porn before this? I'm just kidding.
When I did this movie.
Yeah,
This is when I went to acting school.
yeah, but you had already made 4 movies at this point, Joe. That's the craziest thing. You made movies as a kid, and you guys are both from Long Island, like where this movie is made, and I'm expecting at least more than half of this audience is from, probably.
Ah.
And but I'm just dying to know, Joe, how did you get involved? Like, how did you get involved in the Bloody
It
Ape?
was all knowing every friend. I went to New York Institute of Technology, and I was in film school with George Reese, who was in the movie. And later, just before I graduated, he was making a thesis film called Frankenstein Reborn, which is basically Hammer meets, Long Island, Downton Abbey meets Long Island, I call it. And can I say the name of the cameraman, of the director?
You're welcome to.
His name is Joe Parda. I worked with him a bunch of times, and eventually on 5 Dead on the Crimson Canvas.
Another blowout.
Which is another Super 8 movie. But in any case, we worked together on Frankenstein Reborn, and I think because of movie nights with George Reese, that's how I met you, and then you ended up putting me in this movie.
Actually, Joe, I was brought onto the set of Frankenstein Reborn. You were in makeup. And that was the first time I met you. And ultimately, the movie nights led to what became this, what was going to be the Bloody Ape, ultimately. And that's how I got to know Joe. Okay? I want to...
Side note, what were you guys watching?
What type of movie, Joe?
Probably something Italian.
We
Italian.
tended to
It had
watch
to be.
a lot of the foreign horror films, the Paul Naschy horror films, the
Bootlegs, that's what they were.
bootlegs. You got to remember, this stuff wasn't out there then. That's how I ran Cinephere Video. I used to sell copies.
You were bootlegging, you're saying.
Oh,
We're on camera.
We always used to show trailers. It was fun. It was like we ate movie snacks and everything. It was like the way a movie night should be.
And then Keith said, "Could you be in this really racist movie? And then you're gonna just be like a normal person. Don't worry." Is that how it worked? And you were like, "Okay."
No, he was terrific. He was terrific in it, and we actually had, as you could see with the outtakes that we tacked onto the end there, we had a great time. I think everyone who worked on it ended up having a really good time. The girl who played Lampini's girlfriend, that's the late Arlene Bermudez, Arlene Burns, as we knew her through a married name. Now, she appeared in a movie of Nathan Schiff's called Vermilion Eyes.
The name for my
And she
past.
played a very serious role in that. And through Nathan Schiff, that's how I got her. And I said to her, "This is going to be different from Vermilion Eyes, quite different." But she ended up having a great time. She ended up having a really good time.
So yeah, Vermilion Eyes, that was never released. Were you bootlegging that back in the day?
No, I knew Nathan at that time, and a lot of the stuff I got that I offered through Cinephilia, some of that I got from Nathan, because we were dealing with guys who traded in tapes, way before Mike Rainey, and something weird. There was a guy named Mike Bogugian, and he operated out of Whitestone. And he was the original bootlegger. He worked in if I'm not mistaken, he was a security guard in a film lab. Well, not a film lab, film vault. And he would take the prints, transfer them, he would sell them. He was the original, he was the real guy. I think so. You're learning good things today.
It's so good to watch these movies now, such pristine copies on Blu-ray or even just streaming on Tubi or something like that. Like, Jalo, like Perfume of the Lady in Black or Autopsy or something, and they look fantastic. And we used to watch them in the muddiest possible ways, and that just seemed normal. I mean, that was the way you watch. And with Japanese subtitles going like this.
Don't worry, this one's not going to get any better looking.
Who knew? Who knew?
We did use a different source, folks. I'm not even sure. I'd have to ask the gorilla.
Yeah, what's going on, Gorilla? First off, this is so fucking surreal that you're sitting there.
It's so great.
That was the Super VHS.
That was off the Super VHS. Was this off our disc, the actual disc itself?
It was the same master.
Okay, so just the file.
Yeah.
You just use the file. Okay, all right.
It's this guy on the end in the monkey suit's fault that all this is happening. There's a lot of great stuff in this movie. I gotta say it, and there's a lot of fucked up stuff. But I don't want to ask you questions. I'm gonna let them ask questions. I can't do it anymore.
And before we do that, Matt, can I just have two people stand up? There are two people in the audience here today that worked on the film. The incredible Larry Costa. Larry, would you please stand up? He played Vic White in the gas station. And Larry, I want to say that Larry Costa was vitally important in getting the film made. Because he got me access to the gas station, the high school that we shot the police scenes in, countless things. If it wasn't for Larry Costa, the film wouldn't have gotten made. I want to give him that credit. And I'd like to give
Make sure you get your poster signed by that guy.
Well, you better believe it. And right over there, ladies and gentlemen, the man who did the music for this film, the incredible Frank Perry, who this was one of the biggest believers.
You can tell because he was laughing through the whole
He
movie.
was dying. He loves it.
He loved it more than you,
This
maybe.
man, I just want to let you know, this man played behind Bette Midler and acts like that. He's worked with some pretty big acts. He's a pretty hardcore musician and a great guy. Really, I enjoy him like you wouldn't believe. So again,
Desert Island film.
my thanks to him, Frank Perry, and my thanks
Well,
to
thank
Larry
you guys for coming out tonight.
Yeah.
It's really appreciated. But let's get, I want to see if these people out here have anything sensible to say. Way in the back.
Joe, you've appeared in like 100 of these movies at the time, but this particular character, how did you prepare for the role?
Great question. Oral altogether. That's how I prepare for you.
Was it the first thing you were ever in, or were you in one more? A couple of things before that?
When I really started to try acting.
Yeah,
It was like the beginning of it, so.
But was it?
How many pictures now?
50.
50 movies, what?
3 of them are good.
Not including this one.
Actually won awards.
So anybody? Oh, here we go.
I know your budget was limited, obviously. rather expensive scene wrecking those cars.
Yes. That, again, is thanks to Larry Costa. One of the things that Larry promised me is he said, we will smash 2 cars together. Now, those were 2 really old cars. They were made of the real heavy metal. So the damage he intended to happen did not happen. We didn't hit them hard enough. So we just ended up getting a dent and the dummy split in 2. That was about the extent of it. But then again, that was Larry. And I think he was telling us all the time that we had the blessings of the guy who ran the station, but I didn't believe that for a minute. Because we never saw the guy, and we were always shooting on off hours. So I don't know if there was ever really any permissions. None were taken, we stole everything. We did, I admit that. Readily admit that. We just went places we shouldn't be shot, you know, we didn't care.
What about you?
Yeah, I know you might have already discussed this, but I was sort of curious more about the moment where you realized that it was not going to be a Bigfoot movie, but an ape movie, and like that emotional roller coaster. Get into that.
Oh yeah, emotional roller coaster. No, I didn't lose one bat of sleep. No, we just flipped it around. What we had was an ape suit. And we were going to mess around with the ape suit, make it look better for the Bigfoot thing. But then we went with this shitty ape suit, and we're like, we got to do something with it. So we said it's easy to just switch it to a gorilla film. Just make it a gorilla. And that was basically what we did, you know? It was just a simple decision. We got to do something. The logic was we got to do something. We have to finish something. We can't leave this hanging, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know? It's amazing the way that gorilla got around that town. And just found the right people. And then what I'd love to know is if he was basing it on sense. So the rabbi's wife ate the bananas, right? So was she flatulent? What would cause the gorilla to go in there and start tearing at his stomach? None of it makes any sense, but one wonders. You know, how did he happen to find these people?
I can't handle this anymore. Seriously, you're killing me.
It's the best. The best.
Hey, hold on. No, let's not talk about the rabbi.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
can you take over? I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'll be back when this gets a little more.
Are you fucking serious?
The moderator doesn't want to stay.
Oh my
I
God.
don't think I've ever seen him walk off of a Q&A.
Ah.
I think you've offended him. I didn't think it was possible.
Somebody had to do it, Rob. Somebody had to.
So tell us about this guy who played the rabbi. A very interesting
Yeah.
By the name of Salvatore Finkel.
Uh-huh.
Now, Salvatore Finkel was a Sephardic Jew.
Uh-huh.
You know what that is?
I don't.
Spanish, Italian, mostly Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Spanish. They're old. It's an old school.
Oh, because there was somebody who said, oh, God, that looks like Keith.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were thinking that. I
Yeah.
honestly do not know why they were thinking that.
Are you Jewish?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No. But I am a quarter Italian. I do have Spanish from Spain.
So you could be a Sephardic Jew.
Possibly. Possibly. But I don't know why. But a lot of people will say that, God, that guy looks like Keith Crocker. But no, it was the incredible Salvatore Finkel. If you go to Philly, he and his daughter own a shop there. And you can find him in Philly. It's Finkel and Daughter. Just look it up. All right,
Okay.
slightly off of 2nd Street. And
Is he serious?
Yeah.
Wait,
What?
I'm telling you about
No
Salvatore.
way.
You asked?
No way.
Does he sell, like, diamonds?
I think so. I think it's stuff like
alright.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
But you gotta understand, he was a reformist. He was very much against corruption. So he wanted to portray this role because he's angry at this type of characteristic. He wanted to stop it.
So, Finkel and Daughter, Matt.
Finkel and Daughter.
Finkel and Daughter.
Did I miss anything?
Yes.
One wonders. All right, so anybody else here got a question about Finkel or whatever the fuck they're talking about? All right, you really quick over here. What's going on?
What towns did you shoot in?
Great question. Hewlett, where I grew up. We shot in Hewlett, Valley Stream. Hewlett, Valley Stream, Lynbrook, Oceanside. Oh, of interest, the hotel, or the motel, where Lampini meets the rabbi. Reason why we shot in that motel is there had been a murder in it.
Oh.
Somebody had picked up a prostitute on Long Beach Road, brought her home, brought her there, and decided I guess they didn't want to pay. So they ended up killing her and putting her under the bed.
Whoa.
So people, it was one of those 4-hour quickies, come on in for, it's a quick, and they do, so they were doing that. People were going in, and I guess after a while, there might have been a stench. Or something, because people were coming in and they're like, "What's wrong with this room?" Well, the same customers were coming in for the 4-hour bouts, and they found the body, and we said, "Oh, that's perfect." We had to shoot there because they were going to tear it down, and they did. They ended up tearing that because Oceanside didn't want that. That was the last thing Oceanside wanted, and they were like, "Nope, tear this down." They did. Gradually tore it down, made it into a parking lot.
Might have been the Gilgo Beach killer?
No, we don't think so. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
How about? Did you guys talk about the carnival that you just seemed to get? That's awesome. You get the freak show. Somehow you convince a little girl to be in your movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. That was the Freihofer Circus. They came from West Virginia, and they would come down to Nassau Coliseum, and they would set themselves up in the parking lot. And the first time I went there, they had been there for years, but I went there around 1990 with a friend from work. We went, there was a freak show. Now, even at that point in the time, it's late in the game, and they had Styles Grady's daughter there. I don't know how many of you know Styles Grady. He was the Lobster Man. Yep. He was the Lobster Man. And he was murdered, I believe, by his own daughter-in-law. She shot him. He killed her.
Her fiance.
Oh, yeah, something was something.
Got a lot of Lobster Man experts in the audience tonight.
He murdered his daughter's fiance, and she murdered his wife murdered him. Okay, so he ended up dead, but he had a daughter who, at the time that I went to see her, she was the lobster girl, and she was pregnant. So this was a roadie probably had. So this is the truth. So we went to the Freihofer Circus. When I saw this, I said, "We must shoot here." Never got permission, never did anything. We just walked up to the people, we had the camera, we're like, just follow this guy's lead. So Paul would go up to them and say, "Oh, I'm looking for my gorilla, where's the gorilla?" And they would answer. And we shot footage all day in there. Steal it, Dad. Steal it, Joe. Remember what I always said? Steal. The concert.
Oh, yeah. What about the concert?
The concert, great question. That was a Grateful Dead concert. And of course, everybody dressed retro. And we were trying to give this film the impression of being somewhere in the mid to late 70s. So we went there and we shot while everybody was out in the parking lot having the tailgate party. And a lot of them were pissed off with us with the camera because there was paraphernalia going around and stuff like that, and they did not want us shooting them. Get away with that camera. Get away with that camera. Others were fine, but some were like, "Get out of here. Don't shoot us." We just went in there and stole everything. Was the guy with the question?
Yeah, I don't care.
Whoa.
Wait, what is going on here? I'm losing control. You're still going for some reason.
I was there before.
Exactly. What we did is we did the bulk of the shooting in 1993. In 1991, we shot the shower sequence. In 93, we shot the film and we wrapped it up in, I think it was like February of 94. So, a lot of shooting. You had to work with people on the weekends. Everybody's working full-time jobs. So we had to shoot on the weekends or off hours and stuff like that. Took forever. Yeah.
Wow.
Guerrilla filmmaking.
Guerrilla filmmaking.
I don't really want to get that guy's question, but I guess I will since it's so important to you, Keith.
Been waiting patiently.
When you were filming those people at Freihofer's Circus and they didn't expect anything and you didn't tell them what was going on, is there now a chance that those people are going to somehow stumble upon your movie and say, "Shit, that's me"?
No, there's no way they'll ever see this movie. This is everyone who's ever saw this movie.
Well, there's not, even if they do stumble upon it now, there's not much you could do. Statute of limitations. This was a long time ago.
He knows every one of them.
This is it. I have to learn these things, or there's trouble.
Yes.
So in all actuality, that's been, never had
All
any.
soccer moms and dads by now. It's
You
like.
hit it right on the head. He says it right.
But you know what? There's something to be said about that because this movie, you sold it yourself. It was released on DVD. It was released on DVD again. Then it was released on DVD another time, probably. Was there the Blu-rays at some point?
Actual distribution before, you keep saying he sold it himself, but he did have.
Oh, let's talk about your distribution before that.
Distribution before that, it was a company called Vanguard Releasing, and it was run by a gentleman by the name of Freyr Thor, and he was from Iceland, and he thought the movie was hysterical. So for about 2 years, I had a contract with him, and I was selling him the tapes. Remember, this was VHS at the time. So I was under contract with him for about 2 years. Then
About how many units did you sell to Vanguard Entertainment?
That's a good question.
Well, it's not that great, but it's one I'm interested in.
Well, let's just say hundreds.
Hundreds, okay.
Yeah, hundreds.
Not Splatter Farm numbers. But, I'm just kidding with you.
Hundreds. Maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look at the paperwork.
But over time, there's probably been thousands of this movie out there.
Well, ultimately, once I put Cinefear Video online, that was the first thing I started selling, and I continued to sell it for over a decade. Then what ended up happening is I hooked up with this gentleman over here, Mr. Rob Hausfield, and Rob and I were, feeling the waters out there, testing discs. I won't even talk about that, but we were testing things out there, and we were doing all right. Ultimately, Wild Eye came out of that, and we were working on Wild Eye together, and then I kind of bailed in 2013, but Rob has been taking care of these films for me for years. We have had this great relationship going, and Rob has been distributing for me, so they were out twice on DVD, and of course the reason why we're doing this is Rob is putting it out on Blu-ray next.
Wow.
So we pulled, you were there, Matt, you interviewed me, we did.
I was there.
Yes, you sure are.
I'm here again.
Yes, yes you are. So we did all the extras, in fact I think they're done. I'm going to talk to Rob about that.
This will be an extra on the Blu-ray.
Wow, and I confess to a lot of things.
That's right.
I know that
You
gentleman.
confess, yeah,
I
and
know him
that's
very well. I know
that's
that guy.
true.
He's great.
I heard he's gonna shoot the Naked Witch. I heard.
The Naked Medium.
The
Media.
Naked Medium. I'm sorry, the Naked Witch is the original movie that I was thinking of. The Texas made.
There are, I have 2 features. I have a ton of shorts from the old days. But I did 2 features. The first one was The Bloody Ape. The second one was Blitzkrieg Escape from Stalag 69.
We're gonna skip over that one right now.
No. That's going to have to be shown because when Rob
Yes.
puts that on Blu-ray, we're going to have to do. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
This is just what it is. You damn well know we're going to do a showing.
That's too long.
No, get the hell out of here.
really
No way.
long.
And I will tell you that was, it was a completely different experience. Finally, I didn't have to do everything. Had a cameraman, had a guy who edited it, had a really great makeup man, a guy by the name of John Farley. He was a gem. He's not dead or anything. He's still alive. He's in Jersey, but he's got a child now, and he's kind of bound down. Yeah, but he was a great makeup man. So I finally had relief. This movie, we did everything. We did everything. Shot it, directed it, ran around, grabbed the props, did the special effects, everything. It was exhausting. I ended up in the hospital.
No.
Yes, a sinus infection that went into my chest from being in all these dusty, gross basements that we were shooting in. Christmas Eve of '93, I ended up in the hospital. 1 whole week.
Oh, wait.
The curse of the Bloody Ape.
Oh,
This is
my
the
God.
truth.
Oh, my
This is
God.
the truth.
Glad you survived.
Over there. Hey, here's the thing. We're just we could do this all night, and
Yeah.
we can still go downstairs into the bar and chill and talk to Keith and talk to Joe and get your posters signed. But we got to get the fuck out of this theater right now. We've gone on way too long.
No.
We've gone on twice as long as the feature-length movie. I feel like. Can you just leave us with 1 word of wisdom, Keith, and then we'll go downstairs and move on.
Dominus Oma.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Yes. No. The 1 word of wisdom. No.
Yes,
One word
no.
of wisdom that I would actually say is that don't get held back when you want to do a project. Steal everything.
Ah.
In other words, just go out there. Don't get hung up in the goddamn permits. Don't get hung up in all this crap. You're gonna run into a lot of headaches. Just grab a camera, go out and shoot.
Yeah.
Grab a
That's
camera.
awesome.
Love it.
That's a good way to call this.
Hell yeah.
Go out and shoot yourselves. Thanks for coming. Visual Vengeance, the third Thursday of every month, except for this one for some reason, because Equinox was on the third Thursday, and they wanted to show Equinox on Equinox, which is pretty cool. I hope you guys went. Stay in the monkey costume all night, right? Sure, with this monkey down in the bar.
Yeah.
You want? Don't worry, this monkey is not as handsy as the one in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Come down and get your poster signed.
I love how this underground movie, and they're really underground. They're really underground. When I look at it, oh, they're downstairs.
Matt, come on, that was